What is going on, people? Tunji again from Ceasar Graphix. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and remember to ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post my tutorials. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this album art, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to color grade, and I'm going to show you the power of shadow. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's tutorial. So if you need the link to the exercise file, is right here on the description section. So I'm going to create a new document. So I'll click on file and I'll select new. So for this project, I'm going to be using 700 by 700 and my resolution is going to be 100. Okay, I'm not planning to print this, so this is going to be on social media, and my color mode is going to remain RGB and the white background is going to remain the way it is. And I'm just going to call this album art, and I'm going to click on the create button. I'm going to bring in the picture of the grain and drop like so. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to bring in the picture of the artist. So I'm going to put that here. Okay, so if you're looking at this image of the artist, you realize that there's a light coming out from this angle. So if we are going to place our shadow, it's going to be somewhere around here. When you have a picture like this and you're trying to place the picture on another background, so always make sure you check where the light is coming from. This is going to now make you know the angle where you're going to position the shadow. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this artist. Okay, and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'll call this shadow. Then I'm going to pick a color from my character like so, and I'm going to just make it a little bit darker, and I'm going to say okay. Then this should be behind the layer of the artist, and I'm going to just brush like so. Now make sure your flow is on 30, and I'm just going to brush like so. So I noticed there's a challenge here because I'm seeing the chair of the artist. So we need to take that out. So I'm going to create a layer mask on the layer of the artist, and I'm going to select the brush tool and make sure you're on the soft round brush. The foreground should be black, and I'm going to just take that out. So this is good. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is create a new layer. I'm going to hold on Alt and click on the new layer icon, and I'm going to call this burn. So I'm going to change this to overlay, and I'll check the fill with overlay neutral color 50% gray option, and I'm going to select OK. So the next thing I'm going to do is to hold down Control and click to create the marquee of the layer of the artist, and I'm going to select the layer mask button here, layer mask button. So I'm going to zoom in. All right, and make sure I'm on the burn tool. So I'm going to select the burn tool here, reduce the size of my brush, and I'm just going to brush this side. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add curve to the character. So I'm going to click on the curve adjustment, and I'm going to click on the apply to just only that layer icon here, and I'm going to move this down. I'm going to just move this up like so. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is to boost the shadow on the character and the highlight. So I'm going to move this down. So there's one other thing I'm going to do again. So I'm going to click on the gradient map option here, and I'm going to click on the gradient map icon and hide the layer. Okay, because if the layer is visible, I won't be able to sample the color from the project. So I'm going to hide this and click on this. So I'm going to click here, and just pick a darker part of the grain field. All right, so this is going to be my shadow, and if I click here, I'm trying to say I want to add my mid-tone, so I'm going to make this my mid-tone. And for my highlights, I'm just going to pick the lighter part of the project. Let's just pick the shirt of the character. Right, so this is my highlight, and I'm going to select OK. So I'm going to make this visible now. You see we have this, so I'm going to change the blend modes to soft lights. All right, and I'm going to reduce the opacity just like so. You notice now that the color on my character is looking similar to the color of the grain, so I'm going to just reduce the opacity just like so. All right, now this is beautiful. Okay, so I want this to apply to just only the layer of my artist, so I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to make a copy of this and apply it to just only the shadow layer. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to make it more stronger. All right, yeah, so this is what we have now. All right, then I'm going to merge visible of the layer so as to take it to camera raw for the color grading. So I'm going to hold down Ctrl Shift Alt and E. Then I'll go to filter, camera raw filter. For my contrast, I'm just going to make that 13, make the highlights 25 is fine. Increase my shadow, go to something around 19 is fine. I'm going to increase the colors, so I'm going to make that 8 is fine. Let's say 3 is fine. The yellow 63. Yeah, so this is good. Just saturation. Orange, let's make it 28. Then I'll click on the split toning, and I'm going to make the saturation 10 on red. On the calibration, let's say 16. 18 is fine. I'm going to make that -7. All right, then I'm going to go back to the basic and just boost the exposure up a bit. All right, trying to make it more brighter, and I'm going to select OK. So this is the before and this is the after. So the reason why I always color grade my project is so as to boost the color, to give the color more life. So this is the before of the project, and this is the after the color grading. So you see now that there's a lot of difference. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add noise. So I'm going to select Alt and click on the new layer icon, and I'm going to call this noise. The next is to just change this to soft light. Check the fill with soft light neutral color, and I'm going to select OK. Then I'll go to filter, noise, and I'm going to select add noise. All right, I'm going to make this go up like so. And I'm going to check the monochromatic box here to change it to black and white, and I'm going to select OK. So if I zoom in now, you see we have this. So I'm going to reduce the opacity just a little bit. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to drive my viewer's attention to the character. So the best way to achieve that is to add a vignette. So I'm going to select the curve adjustment here, and I'm going to move this down like so, and I'm going to drag this down like so. Next is to just hit the Ctrl I on your keyboard. I'm going to select the brush tool, increase the size of my brush. All right, and I'm going to make my flow to be 15. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to make sure this is set to white, and I'll put a brush. Now we have this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add my text. So I'm going to select the text tool, and I'll click, and I'll call this Simon. All right, so the font name is Hifalo brush. I hope I'm calling that right. So I'm going to just increase the size of my text, and I'm going to just come here and call this best place. Now you see I can hardly see the text. So what I'm going to do is to go to the curve adjustment, and I'm going to select the brush tool, reduce the size of my brush and just make that part a little bit more darker. Now you need to switch this to white, and I'm just going to make this side a little bit darker. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, guys, and if you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and remember to ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post my tutorials. And I'll see you guys again in my next video. Peace.